Okay, we're going to get back started, and I'm going to introduce Ruth Nightingale, who heads up Search and Social for Silverlight Digital.
Hello, thank you, everybody. As Michael said, my name is Ruth Nightingale, and I'm the Director of Search and Social. And yes, this is me. You might, without the mask, right? Something like that? Okay. All right, can I get a show of hands? How many of you have paid search as part of your marketing mix? Excellent. I love to do the raise the hand thing because we always talk about search as the hand raisers. These are the people who are asking for information about what you want to tell them. So they're very valuable people. So how many people, I think I'm going to need my little clicker, which is over here. Aha, thank you. So raise your hand if you have bid on your competitor's brand name in a paid Google campaign. Wow, that's what I figured. Okay, the other way. Raise your hand if your competitor has bid on your brand name. Yeah, I see that expression. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So if you raise your hand, you've experienced conquesting. So conquesting is a strategy that you can choose to participate in, but sometimes you are being conquested. Sometimes the advertiser is using your brand name to reach out to your consumer to try to push their product. This is used in every category, but it's huge in healthcare and it's really big in pharma. So in case I wasn't clear, what is conquesting? It is when your competitor shows up on the search results page for a search on your brand name. So here's a great example, because I didn't want to use anybody's brand in the room with all of our wonderful pharma advertisers. So we have a very commercial, over-the-counter brand of Zyrtec. So someone is searching Zyrtec, and guess what? Well, our fictitious advertiser came in that top spot to try to get your attention. And then, of course, there's Zyrtec. And then guess what? There's Flonase, a great competitor of Zyrtec on this page. This is a great example of conquesting. So I'm going to focus today a little bit on what happens when you discover that you're being conquested by your competitor. What if you are Zyrtec and you discover that Flonase is doing this? What do you do about it? So obviously, you're familiar with the funnel, I'm guessing. You expect competition, especially at the top of the funnel. You expect that those category terms, those disease state terms, those symptom terms, you're going to have competition. Everybody's allowed to bid on the term itchy skin. Everybody's allowed to bid on the term runny nose. But by the time you move them down, you're hoping that by the time you get here, that competition set is going to be a lot smaller. And really, by the time you're at that action stage, and these keywords are your brand term that you've worked so hard to build, that you're not going to have that same level of competition. But sometimes you do, and that is conquesting. So why would someone do this? They're building their own brand. Why would they want to steal your thunder? Well, the fact is, it is effective. For some advertisers. It is effective because the data shows that in our world today, it actually takes a long time for someone to really be loyal to your brand. And that could mean purchases of your over-the-counter brand, or it could mean refills on their prescription. Perhaps they are always doubting that what they have works as well as they want it to. So you want to make sure that if someone is coming in to try to steal, even someone who has been filling that prescription 3-4 times, that you are always there for your brand searches and keep an eye out for your competitors. But you might ask, how am I going to know if I'm being conquested? Well, obviously, you can search every day on your own brand term, but I actually don't I'm not recommending that. Please don't do that. And certainly please don't click on your own brand term for the sake of your marketing team. You're going to drive down your click-through rate, and you're going to, of course, be spending money on where you don't want to spend it. So what you want to look for are things like a sudden increase in the cost of your brand terms. If you're used to spending, say, $4 to $5, and all of a sudden your average cost per click is around $6, $7, $8, you're going to notice that, and then you might want to go in and actually check the search results page. You might be looking at a search results page and see somebody else has moved into that top spot. You might also, by the way, see dramatic changes in your click-through rate. So we had a client who had a great click-through rate on a regular basis of like 3 or 4%, pretty great. And then 1 month they had 8%. 8% click-through rate. I wanted to take credit for it so badly. But, you know, how can I say, well, we didn't do anything, and yet your click-through rate went up. Aren't we great? Well, we are great, but in this case, what had happened was that a major competitor had dropped out of the auction. So what happened was all of those extra clicks that used to be stolen by the competitor, now they were finally coming to our brand, and that meant that their click-through rate went up. It was great when conquesting ends. Another thing to keep an eye on is that it's not always your competitors. It is also those over-the-counter brands who are sort of in the same category. It is also those content sites, women's health sites, WebMD perhaps, who are coming in, bidding on your brand because perhaps they have their own ad sales objectives and they're trying to get people to their site so that they can serve those ad impressions on their pages. The last thing to look for is an inability to serve at your regular budget levels. If all of a sudden you've been, say, serving out at, I don't know, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, and suddenly, oh, you're hitting a wall around 15, and you can't spend that additional amount, this is also a sign that you could be being conquested. So you discover you're being conquested, then what? Well, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Thank you, Mr. Newton. So what do? You got to think about it, because sometimes is your competitor doing this to try to get you to take that action? Are they trying to get you to spend more? Are they trying to not just steal your market share, but actually get into a war? Don't forget, we do call it a bidding war in paid search. There's a reason for that. So be careful of quick emotional responses, because some of those could mean you immediately start bidding on their brand terms, right? They're going to do it to you. You're going to do it to them. On guard. Or another thing that you can do is double down on your max bids, right? So that if they're going to come in and bid on your term, you're going to make them pay for it. You're going to say, fine, I'm going to bid $8 for my own brand term, CPC, and that's going to cause them to pay $10 or $12 because, after all, it is an auction marketplace. So those are emotional reactions that I don't recommend, something to be aware of. So how do you respond? You want to be strategic, not emotional. So what are some strategic things that you can do? Well, first of all, check your bidding strategy, especially on mobile. So if this battle is for the top of the page with your brand and another brand, mobile has a bigger battle for the top of that mobile screen. As a matter of fact, for those of you with phones, do a search. Do a search on your own brand, do a search on your competitor's brand. Who shows up? And do you see another ad on that page or not? So are you really battling for that tiny little piece of real estate on someone's phone? If so, and if you're being conquested, you might want to bid differently for mobile than you do for desktop. This is going to be a way to make sure that if you have to bid a little bit higher, that you're doing so in a little bit more limited fashion so that you're conquesting not your conquesting partner, but your conquesting enemy, your competitive brand, is not always grabbing that that quality space. The other thing to do is keep your eye on your site actions, your KPIs. This is why you're in the search space. You want to get people to your site. Make sure that you're doing everything you can to keep getting people to your site and getting them to make the site actions that you are hoping that they're going to make. You want to make sure that you're evaluating any risk or reward for these CPC increases that you're going to see, and you want to improve your ad copy. This is very easy to write, not always easy to get approved. I understand that. But if you're being conquested, you want to make sure that your ad copy is really saying just exactly what you want it to say so that the consumer sees you are the right solution for that consumer, that give them no reason to click on your competitor. Really increase that hook to get them to your site. So if you want to get in the battle, if you really want to compete against your competitor who's using your brand name, you got to accept that there's some risk involved, right? If you're going to start bidding on their terms, you're going to be paying for it. Most of you who've done paid search know that the best way to get low CPCs is to have high relevance. You want to match the keyword to the ad to the landing page. Well, a keyword that is for your competitor has zero relevance to your own landing page. I'm sure if I had searched on Zyrtec and went to Flonase, I'm probably not going to see too much content about Zyrtec on that Flonase page. So Flonase is probably paying for that, and you would too if you got into this bidding war. So understand the risk, understand the cost. And then, of course, you're going to get this traffic to your site. Are they going to take actions? Well, obviously, you might be doing this because, yes, some of them will. Some of them are going to say, well, I've always taken Zyrtec. I don't really know what this Flonase thing is. Oh, it's not a pill, it's something else. So they're going to, some of them are, but your conversion rate will most likely be a lot lower than it is on some of your other terms that you know actually work. So you also might want to prepare alternate strategies. Are there other landing pages you might want to test out? Are there other creatives that you might want to offer? Or is there an offer that you can put in market? Is your copay card up at the price that you want it to be? Are there ways that you can battle the fact that you have this competitor coming at you so directly like this? So all of that is paid search, but it's really worth mentioning that if this is happening to you, make sure that you are sharpening your SEO tools. Make sure that your paid search is just part of the picture. Are you showing up well in your organic results too? We have found that especially those healthcare providers, they're going to scroll past some of those paid search ads regardless of who's showing up in the results to try to get down maybe a little bit deeper into your search results. So make sure that your pages are optimized and that you are keeping them that way, getting those links in, that you have some great SEO solutions. So that was the offensive side. So suppose you don't want to get in that battle. Your budgets are cut from last year. You don't have the money to spend $9 clicks on a non-relevant keyword. I totally get it. So be zen. Let them spend that money. That's their risk. They are probably spending a lot on those CPCs. They are probably not getting a whole lot from it. So let it happen. Just make sure that your campaign is performing to where you want it to be. Keep your eye on your click-through rate. You want to monitor and then monitor some more, follow those trends, make sure everything is kind of going along the way you want it to. And of course, keep your eyes on the prize, your KPIs. I think that's going to be my new thing. So, again, at the end of the day, if you're going to get into a conquesting battle and you want to conquer this conquesting, make sure that you know where you are on this scale. A little bit of risk, a lot of risk, really high CPCs for a low amount of traffic. Maybe that's going to work. Or do you want to really minimize your risk? Stay down there, let them spend. It might not last that long, and see how it goes. So can we have a show of hands? How many of you are going to fight, get in there, start bidding on your competitor keywords? Raise your hand. You're right. Like I said, it works for some brands, absolutely. How many of you are going to stay zen and just let it ride? Oh, that's really interesting. It's like half and half. I like that. Okay. That's fabulous. All right. Anybody have questions about conquesting or paid search in general?
Tools like SEMrush?
I'm so glad you asked. I'm personally an SEMrush fan. I think it is informational. I wouldn't always rely on that data, right? Yep, and the best thing you can do, I have found, is do a search on terms that you might manage. So if SEMrush is telling you, so let's say you are Flonase, and SEMrush tells you that Flonase spent $3 million on search in January, and you know that your budget was more like $300,000, it kind of gives you a gauge, right, of how to look at everything else involved. And you can get down to like the CPC level, and they might say, oh, well, that CPC was $8, and you know that you were spending $6. Again, it kind of gives you like that margin of error that you can use.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Other search questions? I know search can be a pretty geeky topic, and unless you're in Google Ads all the time, which, by the way, we have a fabulous team as part of our Google partnership. So if anyone wants to ask us or be introduced to our great Google team, we can talk bidding strategies, we can talk automated bidding, we can talk smart bidding, all really great tools to know about. Yes. Oh.
Thank you. So if you were evaluating entering a new industry and you wanted to do a competitive analysis at the players who were already there in a healthcare category, what are some of the key aspects of search that you would look at to evaluate the different players? Oh, I'm Nancy Williams from Auditory Insight.
Okay. Well, there are a lot of tools at your fingertips with Google, and you can use, they have a great keyword planner, so you can go in and see what your competitor's brand website, what sort of keywords might have driven traffic to their site, and about how much traffic is associated with that. And I have found that to be a really good sort of gauge for how much traffic is available. We can also look using other Google tools, Google Trends, about what times of year, where does the seasonality fall. I've been surprised at how terms that you wouldn't, or disease states that you wouldn't think have seasonality actually do, that there are peaks and valleys for things, so that can help. But if you're going to get to that question that you included that detail of about how much your competitors are spending, that's a little bit more gray. You can use competitive intelligence tools like SEMrush. That they will have some information, but it's not always correct. It's not always exact. What I would love to do is go to my Google team and say, hey, can you tell me exactly how much my competitor was spending last month? And guess what? They can't tell you that either, because you wouldn't want them telling your competitor that, right? So you kind of have to really work out what's right for your brand, and then start running a campaign, and then really judge how that's working on your site. Like I say, it's at the end of the day, it's really about keeping your eyes on your prize. What works for you? And then if you find you do have a little bit extra money to put in, then you can expand on what you've started with. Any other questions? Excellent. So I am very happy to turn the stage over to my colleague, Peter Niemi, who is our Director of Strategy. Thank you so much.